Manga-Waido.
Hi, I'm Koji. My older brother Kasuma was super smart since he was just a kid, and he could apparently do calculations when he was 2 years old. He was a child prodigy. But me, I'm just a normal average kid.
Kazuma was able to do it when he was 2 years old. He could do it, why can't you?
My mom would sometimes go off on me like that. After a while, my mom just kind of gave up on me and let my grandmother, who lived nearby, take care of me. I gradually became grandma's kid, and at about the same time, my mom started SNS. She would just boast about my brother's test results and overall scores. But then some followers started praising her son as a genius, and especially praising the mother who brought her son up so wonderfully. She got carried away with it and started calling herself an education consultant and passing herself off as some sort of educational professional.
Oh, some of my followers want me to upload some of the teaching material I have. Some of them want me to upload Kazuma's impressions, so maybe I should get to work putting them up.
And that's how it went. She was so into SNS that she just ignored all housework. My grandma and I ended up doing all the housework and cooking. But she made sure that Kazuma's meals were prepared by herself, using hashtags such as #how to make meals for prodigies and the like. So at the dinner table, we had the average grandma meals, and then my brother's nutritious, well-balanced, calorie-considered meals lined up on the dinner table. My brother would occasionally say he wanted to eat Japanese food, but would be criticized, saying that eating such unhealthy food would make you dumb, which would sometimes end up in heated arguments. In order not to anger my mom, my brother gradually became quiet and soft-spoken. Although I was just a kid, I kind of felt sorry for him. Well, the days went by and I eventually entered high school. Around this time, I had long not talked much with my mother. She was just too busy making his meals or driving him to school that I was not even a flicker in her eye. But deep inside, she's still my mom. I felt like saying, "Look at me too!" One day, an incident occurred in which she did notice. It was when I happened to get a glimpse of my grandma's smartphone. What the hell is this picture? It was my mom's SNS photo. It said, "Today is family day. Spent quite a bit just for today." The date was on the same day she said was a school day. It showed the two of them at a luxury hotel having an expensive dinner. Apparently, she had left my grandma and me behind and took a luxurious trip with just my older brother. So, I'm not even part of the family anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. My parents wanted me to go on to college, but I decided to look for work. Luckily, my teacher was pretty helpful and found me a live-in job. So, after I graduated from high school, I left home. The dorm I was living in was pretty small, but as long as I was not able to see my mom, I was okay with it. Oh, yeah, when I left home, my mom didn't say anything. Her SNS also said she only had one son, and I remember whenever she took a photo, she went out of her way to exclude me. She's probably glad that I left anyways. In order to sweep away that feeling of anxiety concerning my mom, I immersed myself in my work. Because of my hard work, the boss invited me to his home and treated me to dinner. He even shared food with me. One day, the boss's daughter, Reiko, brought me some vegetables.
My dad said to bring them over to you. If you can use them, please enjoy them.
Thank you. Always appreciated.
Hey, that cap! Are you a baseball fan?
Yes, I am. Are you a fan too, Rico? Seeing her look so lovingly towards the cap, I sort of fell in love with her right on the spot. We really got into talking about baseball, and after a month or so, we started dating. And then about a year later, I proposed to her. Around this time, I was not even thinking about my mom anymore and just looked forward to living my own life going forward. But I guess if I'm gonna get married, no way I can ignore my parents, so I gave them a call. My dad and grandma were super happy, but my mom didn't seem to show much interest. According to my dad, my brother was currently a graduate student. She's constantly looking after him.
Well, I suppose I can just go to meet everyone. But make it on a day that Kazuma is off, would you? When he's at school, I have to deliver his lunch.
I was a bit angry by her reaction, but I didn't want my marriage to fizzle out, so I set up a date for the meeting. Despite my mom being my mom, she didn't act too obnoxiously given the circumstances. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, and I felt a bit relieved. Then at the end, Reiko's sister wanted to take a picture with everyone. I felt really relieved and felt a huge load off my shoulders. But that was not the end of the story. A few days after our meeting, I got a call from my mom.
What have you done? Now everyone knows!
I was not really sure what she was talking about, so I talked to my dad and he explained. I was flabbergasted. Seems that Reiko's sister uploaded the photo to SNS. One of her followers apparently was a fervent SNS follower and asked why she had a younger son and that she thought Kazuma was the only son. Evidently, the follower accused her of highlighting her elder son and keeping the younger son secret, lying to her followers. And when they checked on me, they found that I was an average kid who went to an average high school, no genius like my brother. That follower shared her info with others and it spread like wildfire. I checked out the SNS too, and people were saying how bad a mother she was for not bringing up the two kids equally, and that she was a liar. To be honest, I was like, you got that right. I was rooting for all the scathing criticism.
Do something, would you? It's all your fault!
My mom was so adamant that I did what I could. I wrote, I am the younger brother. I'm sorry that I caused so much turmoil. My mom shunned me long ago, and I left home and worked. I'm living alone now and doing well. Because I left home, I was able to meet a beautiful woman whom I hope to marry. So my mom's policy of shunning an average, no-prospect son had its merits. Wow, the comment storm was non-stop after I uploaded mine. All the comments were sympathetic to me and critical of how my mom treated me. Frankly, my laughter would not stop. In the end, she was unable to stop the negative aspects of her SNS and just up and quit. She was going to make the blog into a book, but that all went down the drain. Straight up, I was kind of elated. SNS was her whole life, so she really got depressed after that and never contacted me again. Luck would have it that I was able to get married and now living happily with my new bride. I was afraid she might do something crazy, so I didn't tell her my address. Oh yeah, about my brother. He took the opportunity of my mother being out of the picture and left home and hooked up with his girlfriend. My mom was so enamored with my older brother that now that he was gone, she was like a zombie wandering around the house. According to my grandma, she apparently resembles a skeleton. Self-inflicted outcome. We brothers were able to escape our obsessive mother and now will live our lives to the fullest.